In a quarter of a mile, keep right to continue towards Tuns Lane, A355. Keep right. In a quarter of a mile, at the roundabout, take the first exit onto the M4 slip road to London, Heathrow Airport. In a quarter of a mile, merge onto M4. Continue on M4 for 9 miles. In 2 miles, at junction 3, take the A312 exit to Harrow, Hayes.
She went to her mother and said, "Mummy, I exist."
Yeah.
That's a pretty bad start in life. She later went to work for her father, who alternately bullied and pampered her. He was a very controlling figure, and when he died, she went on to have a similar sort of relationship with Epstein.
Yes, people are going to pore over those sorts of details now. And of course, questions will be asked about the connections of Maxwell and Epstein, including Prince Andrew. And he denies all allegations against him, but there is a lawsuit pending against Prince Andrew. How nervous will people be across these influential and social circles that no doubt you've detailed in your book? How nervous will these famous and influential people be now who knew both Maxwell and Epstein?
Well, famously, Prince Andrew, who claims he couldn't sweat, I'm sure he must be sweating now, because of that famous picture which showed...
In a 1/4 mile, at junction 3, take the A312 exit to Harrow, Hayes.
Virginia Roberts Giuffre, who claimed that she was trafficked to Prince Andrew, and Prince Andrew all standing there together in Maxwell's house in...
Exit at junction 3.
How is he going to explain that in court? There is one problem here.
In a 1/4 mile, at Cranford Parkway interchange, take the 4th exit onto the Parkway, A312.
That Virginia Giuffre has brought against him, and his lawyers is trying to seek to have the case thrown out, because in her complaint she said she was a resident of Colorado, and they're maintaining that in fact she lives in Australia.
Or has done for 17 of the last 19 years, I believe.
Yeah.
Listen, good speaking with you. Thank you very much indeed. Nigel Cawthorne, writer, author of Ghislaine Maxwell, The Fall of the World's Most Notorious Socialite. Giuffre is suing Andrew in a civil lawsuit, as Nigel was saying there, claiming that he had sex with her on 3 occasions 2 decades ago, when, aged 17, she'd been sexually trafficked by Epstein. Allegations Andrew vehemently denies.
Exit the roundabout onto the Parkway.
We'll continue to follow that story. And coming up after the breaks, this took place in Milton Keynes yesterday. It's an anti-vax protest.
Continue on the Parkway for 1 mile.
Labour has accused the government of complacency as dedicated anti-vax groups continue to release disinformation about COVID-19. We'll speak to one of the shadow cabinet after the news headlines. Here's Lottie Morley.
Accusers of the predatory socialite Ghislaine Maxwell say others must be held accountable after she was convicted of sex trafficking young girls for Jeffrey Epstein to abuse. The NHS is setting up new Nightingale hubs at 8 hospitals in England in case there's a surge in COVID cases caused by the Omicron variant. Almost 100 terrorists will be considered for release from prison by the parole board next year. The weather cloudy and mild with rain for England and Wales with highs of 16 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm Anne-Marie Walsh in Westminster on Parliament Square. One lane remains closed at Bridge Street for some barrier repairs. It is now blocking access to St Margaret Street, which is closed southbound past Westminster Abbey. On Shepherd's Bush Green, one lane is blocked to the Holland Park roundabout as a bus has broken down. And a reminder that the Woolwich Ferry remains suspended for ongoing emergency repairs. On the tubes, because of engineering works, no service on the Piccadilly line between Acton Town and Heathrow Airport and between Rayners.
In a 1/4 mile, at Wagoners Roundabout, roundabout, take the second exit and stay on the Parkway, A312.
And on the trains, because of engineering works, no service on the DLR between Bank and Poplar and between Tower Gateway and West India Quay.
This is LBC.
Hi there. Right now, I'm in the left speaker. For now, I'll switch to the right speaker. And the helps of BP Pulse, switching to an electric vehicle can be this simple too. Now in both speakers, let life flow from the people you know, with over 8,000 BP Pulse charging points where and when you need them, including ultra-fast charging, to get you back on the open road as soon as possible. Find out more about EV charging from BP in the right speaker. Search BP Pulse.
This is LBC. Euronics is an
Exit the roundabout onto the Parkway.
electrical store.
Continue on A312 for 1.5 miles.
Each one offering great local service and value on big brand home appliances like Indesit, Hotpoint and Zanussi. Everything comes direct from your local store. Get the brands you love. Pop in, go online or give them a call. Independent stores supporting local communities just how it should be.
Euronics. Hi there. Right now, I'm in the left speaker. For now, I'll switch to the right speaker. And the helps of BP Pulse, switching to an electric vehicle can be this simple too. Now in both speakers, let life flow from the people you know, with over 8,000 BP Pulse charging points where and when you need them, including ultra-fast charging, to get you back on the open road as soon as possible. Find out more about EV charging from BP in the right speaker. Search BP Pulse.
I've cut my hand and it won't stop bleeding.
My son's just bumped his head.
I've run out of my medication.
I fell over and I think I've twisted my knee.
NHS 111. How can I help?
We never know who's going to be calling, but we know we can help them. NHS 111 call handlers help people get the urgent care they need. If you want a job to be proud of, answer the call. Search NHS 111 jobs today. We are the NHS.
Wiping away all the gunk and the grime galore.
Bottoms, two faces, bathtubs and so much more.
What to do next with the wipes? Don't ignore the bin, cause it's just over there. Oh dear, who stunk out our lovely street?
If it's not Luro, it's not for the lavatory.
Bag it and bin it, then it will be history. Properly out of our hands. Bin it, don't block it. Thank you from Thames Water.
Andrew Castle on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
And a very good morning to you. Obviously, the big news this morning is that Ghislaine Maxwell has been found guilty of recruiting and trafficking young girls to be sexually abused by the late American financier Jeffrey Epstein. So she's been found guilty on 5 of the 6 counts that she faced, including the most serious charge, which is that of sex trafficking a minor. Continuing to follow that story and taking guests and your comment on that, mindful of ongoing legal claims regarding Prince Andrew and others. But we'll get into that a little bit later on. 22 minutes past 7 is the time now. Andrew Castle with you. The government has been accused of complacency as Labour analysis found dedicated anti-vaccination groups on social media with hundreds of thousands of members were continuing to put out disinformation about coronavirus. Labour said the closure of the Counter Disinformation Forum, which brought together social media companies, academics, fact checkers and researchers to look into COVID disinformation, after a 6-month trial, meant more lives were being lost and more pressure on the NHS. The Prime Minister, I noted yesterday, said 90% of those in intensive care with COVID had not had their booster jab, and I'm going to come back to that in just a second. Lucy Powell is the Labour and Cooperative MP for Manchester Central and Shadow Secretary of State for Digital Culture, Media and Sport. Lucy Powell, good morning to you.
Good morning.
So yes, closing down people who, even if they're wrong, they sort of have a right to hold those opinions.
In 300 yards, turn right onto Roslyn Avenue.
Well, it's sort of contentious but these companies, Facebook, Twitter and others, their policies already say that you cannot use their platforms to spread disinformation that you know to be